Hey everyone, I am back with another video. I know it's been a minute since my last one, and I always say that. This time we're trying something different. And I say we because today I am joined by my twin brother, Kendrick, aka Drix, aka the originator of the NERKS, Mick NERKS himself, aka the professor, however you know him as. My brother and I have decided that we are going to try and just do a podcast slash video chat thing on YouTube and see how that goes. What this came from was we naturally just have conversations about technology, whether we're upstairs sitting on the couch or just out doing something. We're always talking about the current state of tech, where it's going, what has happened in the past, trends and stuff like that. And we also notice that when we get around our friends or family, usually we will be prompted to talk about some of these topics, and it just makes sense right now, I guess, for us to just put this in a podcast or put this in a video and allow other people to be able to see it and hear what we have to say, and see if there's any takeaway or any value that we can add. Then that's cool. But yeah, so we decided to do this, the NERKS podcast. This is the first episode. Kendrick, you guess you can go ahead and say hi to everyone.
Hello everyone. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. For this episode, we're not really gonna go in depth of any topic. I think right now the question that I want to ask you, and we can talk about a little bit more, is how you and but how we even got into technology. Like, where was the interest? What was the pivotal part of your life in high school or college or wherever, where you were like, oh wow, this technology thing is cool and I want to be a student of it and observe it and kind of, be this wizard of what's to come.
So yes, I've thought about this for a while. Where did my interest stem from when it comes to science and technology? And I pinpointed it down to when I was in high school. I believe my sophomore year, we started practicing magic, and we created a group called Veritas, where me, you, and Albert Villegas practiced magic. And it was so cool understanding the sleight of hand, the and all the other tricks and systems, I think, that came with producing a good magic trick. And the reaction from the crowd as well when you accomplish that goal was something that I really, really appreciated. So I was a big fan of magic. And I think once I started taking track and field seriously in my junior and senior year in high school, my track coach introduced me to exercise physiology. And in studying exercise physiology, I realized that if one understood the science well enough, like one understood a spell book, then one could turn either their own or someone else's body into that of a superhero. And I really, really enjoyed that. So I poured through books like exercise physiology books to learn the science to the utmost. Like, I needed to know everything. And that actually began my journey of actually wanting to learn. And it just happened to be exercise physiology and anatomy. And then we get to college. And at this point, everybody on my track team knows me as like very, very competent in biology and exercise physiology, even to the point where when I was studying the field in school, I was acing, easily. I was in love with the classes of biology, exercise physiology, just normal physiology, anatomy, all those type of classes I was acing, to the point where even during our final exam, I was like in the library taking other people's final exam because it just came so easy to me. And so that was my first love of science. And then when we get to technology, we had started Brown Box Works, and we were also on the side kind of doing a little bit of VEMA. And I remember Gary Vaynerchuk was on one of the keynotes, and then right behind him was a speaker named Jason Silva. And even to this day, I listen to Jason Silva, but Jason Silva is like one of the most ultimate poets that I have ever heard in my life. Jason Silva, and the way he articulates his words is magical in itself. He allowed me to see technology as this magical force in the world, this second skin of human innovation and technology that ultimately makes us, what his term, gods but worms. And so the way he described it built a fascination in technology with me that I had I have been in love with ever since. I've been intoxicated by. So I buy these books by Kevin Kelly, the chief editor of Wired magazine, and then Peter Diamandis and Stephen Johnson, who wrote Where Good Ideas Come From. And I start just understanding the history of technology and where it came from and where it's going. And then I think the pinnacle of that was me purchasing the book, The Singularity is Near by Ray Kurzweil. That book I still have to this day. I read it at least once a month, but it really changed my outlook on where technology is, where technology is going, where we should or will end up by 2040, 2050. And it radically changed my ideas to now where I identify as both a futurist, a transhumanist, and a singularitan. So, but yeah, that ultimately sparked my love for science and technology, a love that I continue to have, and a yearning for knowledge that is constant in my life. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because that is not at all where my introduction to technology came from. Especially being twins, to know that it stemmed from when we were doing magic is interesting. I think I was inspired by cinema more so than anything else. I remember Iron Man coming out, and Jarvis was like extremely impressive to me. I thought Jarvis needs to be a real thing. Like, I want to contribute in some way to having this artificial intelligence platform come out. And then you mix that, where at the time I think The Social Network came out as well, probably around 2010, and that was inspiring as well. So, you know, the story of Mark Zuckerberg and having built Facebook, going into college, just those narratives and not knowing what I wanted to do. I started off my major in computer science, and later changed it, but that's how I got the interest in wanting to explore technology. We bought the book App Empire by Chad Moretta when we started the company Brown Box Works with our partner Everett. And from there it's just been it's just been a journey and a learning experience for me. That's how I got into it. It was watching those movies and going into college thinking I was going to be the next Tony Stark or Mark Zuckerberg, and I kind of just fell in from there. Is there anything you're doing now? Like, do you work in tech, I guess, is the question that I would.
Do I work in tech? No, I currently work for a tech company, but I'm not actively working in any development. I have taught myself graphic design, 3D design, virtual reality development, and there is a nice, cool project that I'm working on. But and as my career right now, currently, no, I'm not working in tech.
So not working in tech, how do you keep up with everything that's going on? Is it just a hobby that you have?
Oof, that's a hobby. That's a strong word. I mean, one could describe it as a hobby. I would describe it as a lifestyle. I don't even mean to say that in like some arrogant, pompous way, but like, what we are living through is the greatest cultural and societal shift in humankind that we have ever seen. And we'll see more advancements in technology and science in the next 100 years than we've seen in the next 500, to be quite honest. Literally in the next decade, or in the last decade, we've seen cars begin to drive themselves. We've seen more productivity AI applications than we've ever thought we'd be able to see in 2020. We've seen the invent of new type of medications that allow our body to be proactive instead of reactive. Like, we are on the cusp of greatness when it comes to us developing and manufacturing new technologies. And so I don't subscribe to like the trends and wait till something new comes out and then I'm like, oh my God, there's new technology. I bogged down on the root, which is information systems and information technologies, which, if you look at it from this base, it's the internet. It's our computation, our ability to scale our computation through things like Moore's law or the law of accelerated returns. And so I look at our information systems, how powerful are our computers, and then I scale every other technology that is being developed on the back of the internet to that. And I mean, before it even becomes a trend or hits the mainstream media, you can easily see these technologies progressing and going in this interesting and novel creation. And if you're imaginative enough, you can even start to correlate these technologies to each other and mix them together and see what new kind of offshoot they have. So maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's just something I love studying and looking into. But for me, it's just like, it's life. It is life. That's what I just do.
So, but you say it's life, but what's your source? Like, you pick up these books. Is it just the books? Like, how do you tap into, like, so for example, how did you know Bitcoin was a thing back when you discovered Bitcoin before everyone else, and you were kind of like the person, at least in my life, that was advocating for people to jump on this new monetary system when it came out back in I think you heard about it in 2012, but it came out in 2008.
I had heard about Bitcoin in probably like 2011, 2012, because I know I was in college and it was my early years in college. But how did I see it being a success? Like,
how did you see it being a success? Like, how do you discover these things?
Okay. Discovery. Oof. So I mean, Bitcoin is different because Bitcoin didn't evolve from a previous technology. Like, the technology of the blockchain was invented. Was developed. So how did I hear about Bitcoin? I mean, honestly, I probably was on Reddit, probably saw a YouTube video while I was going down the rabbit hole of the World Economic Forum, or some video that Jason Silva was talking about, or Peter Diamandis. And so that's probably how I heard of it. And once I heard of it, of course, I had to look it up and research it. But once again, this was early Bitcoin. Like, I don't even think Andreas Antonopoulos had released his book about Bitcoin at that time. So it was early. Any research you did on Bitcoin was like white papers and nerd talk online. But in looking at Bitcoin and looking at what it was and the technology behind it that backed it, which was basically a network and multiple people connecting to a node, and that's how you establish the trust of the blockchain. The one thing I knew when I studied the law of information systems was there was a law called Metcalfe's law. I believe it's Metcalfe's law. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But I believe it's Metcalfe's law that talks about value and networks. And the more users you have on a network, the more valuable a item or that network becomes. And so once you realize that Bitcoin is a group of, or a cluster of different people on a node on a network validating transactions, you start to realize, hey, this becomes extremely more valuable the more people that use it. And I didn't see Bitcoin being a tool that was going to be defeated just because of doom and gloom, especially when you have the early users of Bitcoin protesting or exclaiming that it was going to bank the debankless, and it was going to help people who didn't have the means to transfer money overseas, and it had all this application to it. You see more people using it than more people leaving it. So at that time, I just knew it was going to become something valuable because more people are going to end up using it. And so that's how I understood Bitcoin, or saw Bitcoin as being successful.
But the way that you say that you discovered it was really just through Reddit threads, or just it was essentially sheer luck. You were just digging through channels that you would normally look at, and it kind of just appeared to you.
Yeah, I think that was the case.
Is that what happens with other technologies? Like, how did you discover Midjourney? How did you find out more about general artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and these things?
Okay, and that's actually a good question. So my discovery of Bitcoin was actually very similar to my discovery of platforms like Midjourney and ChatGPT, which was, I knew, and it's a little bit different. I knew ChatGPT and Midjourney, like I knew these technologies were being developed. I had heard of DALL-E before we got Midjourney. And I knew that people were working on systems or algorithms that you could ask a question and it could pull information from the internet. How did I know these things existed? Because we had the Jeopardy champion a few years ago, maybe actually it's probably 10 years ago at this point, but that computer from IBM become the Jeopardy champion. So at this
Watson,
thank you. And so at this point you realize that AI has the capacity to pull information from the internet and regurgitate it. So you knew at some point that it's going to become a super intelligence because it can take all the information from the internet as the internet continues to evolve and unfold and pack more content online, and be a tool that we can use to receive or filter and receive all that information. So in my mind, I knew something like it would come. The question I had was, when is a company going to create an application that allows users to utilize that technology instead of it just being housed in a data center or in someone's R&D department and they play with it that way? So that's like Midjourney and ChatGPT. Like, I think we've had conversations where I would often profess like AGI is coming down the road, but I think even my estimations were off. I was like 2030, we're going to have some level of super intelligence AI. And so that was a little different from Bitcoin though, because I ran into those on Instagram or Facebook, like people talking about it. Bitcoin was just like me going down the YouTube rabbit hole or me going through Reddit and finding it through one of my subreddits.
Okay. So it's a variety of different things that allow you to discover these new technologies, including the books that you purchase, the channels that you're subscribed to on YouTube or do your social media. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's probably how most people find out about these things. But what makes you different than those people that kind of jump on it as a trend, like cryptocurrency? You were talking about blockchain, or not blockchain, blockchain and cryptocurrency back in 2012, and more people really started to jump on it in 2018. ChatGPT, like when that became a thing, a lot of people started changing their YouTube channel from a cryptocurrency YouTube channel to a metaverse YouTube channel to a artificial intelligence YouTube channel. How do you discover these things, or do you discover them in the same like timeline as other people, where it's like this big trend, or are you able to hear about it before? I guess that's the question that I'm trying to get answered for the people that might be listening, is how do you get ahead of the curve on discovering these things that are coming out?
I mean, I can't really get ahead of the curve when it comes to the products that come out, because once again, I don't work for the company, so I don't know the applications and products that they plan on releasing that aren't released yet. I have to wait until all the consumers have access to it, and then I may hear it through the algorithms that curate my content online on Instagram, Reddit, Facebook, or etc. Because my algorithms know that I'm looking for the newest tech. My algorithms know, show Kendrick the whatever new is out, and tech. So I probably hear about it at the same time. I think the only difference is that I'm expecting it. Like, I think that's the only difference. When the product comes out, it's not like this crazy new thing that I become very, I don't know, like I've expected to come. And so and because I expect it to come and because I know what it'll turn into, it immediately makes me want to engage with it and learn how it works because I know it'll be a new part of society in the next coming years. And I think maybe that's what's different. Maybe that's what's different. But I will say, like, we talk about me being an early adopter. Like, what is early? Like, you knowing about ChatGPT right now, I guarantee you can ask 10 of your friends and maybe only 3 of them know. And ChatGPT is like a powerful productivity tool. I work in a office or a building with like, 25 other operation managers and site leads. And I asked my site lead because he had to write a new resume, and I asked him, hey, just use GPT. It'll help you craft it, probably make it better. I had no idea what ChatGPT is. This is somebody who was a chemical engineer in college, still watches Twitch on a regular basis, still does a little programming in Excel. No idea what ChatGPT is. Asked young people under the age 25, 26, hey, you heard of ChatGPT? No. Yeah. So what is early? Like, we're early to this game. We're early. In 2025, then you'll start seeing people say, oh my God, ChatGPT 7, I'm on it. I'm prompting. I've got this, and this. And then you go look back at him and it was like, baby, I was prompted since 2023. I mean, seriously, that's what it is.
So now is it okay? I get it. I mean, now is a great time. How do you become is it even important to become a practitioner of these technologies now, or is it okay just knowing about it, being aware?
I think it is important to be a practitioner of these technologies.
And what technologies? Because there's so many. Like, what tech would give someone the most value in learning today? You don't necessarily like. I wouldn't necessarily tell someone you gotta buy a VR headset because the metaverse in a decade is gonna change infrastructure and economies. So what technologies would you?
I'm not gonna so that's tough, and it's up to the individual. And once again, it's impossible for me to advise someone to take a bunch of technologies and start being a practitioner of them. Because as I said before, we're about to get smacked in the face with so much novel new technology that like it's going to make your head spin. You're going to feel like you're never up to date and never caught up. Now, you bring up all virtual reality, and I will tell anybody who's watching this, you need to get yourself a virtual reality headset.
Really? I would not.
I would.
Why?
Because playing with virtual reality today, even though the concept of the metaverse isn't there, but it will be soon, even though it is not there right now, using virtual reality headsets right now and allowing yourself to play and engage in those spaces is like the person using Twitter in 2009 compared to 2013 when you had all those young kids who had already used the platform. Was it 2009? Maybe. You had all those young kids.
I think it was 2012.
It was probably 2012. I'm sorry. You had all those kids using Twitter, all those kids using Instagram, all those kids using Facebook. And then companies were trying to jump online and be like, hey, I need to advertise. Kids were making bank. Not because they were the best at using Twitter and things like that, only because they had used it for so long, they had a leg up on the companies that needed the
But that's,
skill.
I guess, going back to your point of it depends who the person is and what their interest is. Like, that would be, so you would tell somebody to do that if they were maybe entrepreneurial or looking to take advantage of like new opportunities. But I'm talking about the average individual. Like, what technology is going to...
I'd still say so VR, I'd still say it because I see VR, we talk about screens and where our attention goes. And we talk about, first it was the radio, then it was the television, then it was our smartphone. We played in 3D for a little bit, but I do genuinely believe virtual reality and augmented reality will be the next sense of screens. It'll be our new displays in the future. So I would recommend that somebody get used to that technology because...
For what?
Because it's a tool that they're going to have to use later down the line. Like they are going to have to use it later down the line.
And this is one of the topics I guess that we would debate But just because you will have to use it down the line, what value does it provide you today to actually use that? Unlike, so a technology that I would recommend the average person today to use today that would make an impact on their lives, the average person, is ChatGPT, because its use case for helping you be more productive, learning, education. Like that's a technology that will have a major impact on the average person that's not in tech.
Yeah.
You say VR is something that will have an impact on the average person.
Okay. So yes, because let's say, and I think it's shorter than that, but let's say metaverse comes in 10 years. Mm-hmm. Say it comes in 10 years. Let's say you are currently 45 years old.
Yeah.
How old will you be in 10 years?
If I'm currently
if
45, 55?
You'll be 55 years old.
Yeah.
Now, as you watch your grandparents struggle with using AOL web browsers and internet technologies on their computer at the ages of 56 to 60, they struggle. If you were younger, I would recommend that you don't have to use it on a daily basis, but I would recommend you get familiar with it, so that if these new technologies come later, you're not lost in the weeds. You're not held back because you're either afraid of using it or you're afraid of using it or just don't understand it. So that's why if you're younger now.
So it's one of those scenarios where you don't want to become your parents. You don't want to be, as you get older, you don't want to be the people that, you don't want to be the family members that were older, like, oh, this new technology thing, that's not for me. Like, you want to jump on it so that you can...
I mean, when society shifts, you want to shift with it.
Well, yes.
When society shifts, you would like to... It would benefit you if you shifted with it. Otherwise, you get left behind, and a lot of the tools and resources available to the entire community are not available to you, either because you don't take the time to try to understand the delivery service of it, or it's just too confusing and intimidating for you. But we can get away from VR. I mean, even you said ChatGPT, I would recommend that people try to play around with that. And that's very intimidating. People start thinking, hey, using ChatGPT, you need to learn how to code. Like, people genuinely think you need to learn how to code in order to use ChatGPT. And that's why they don't use it. Not only that, I don't know, there's other technologies and things that I think people should... I mean, when it immediately comes out, maybe not, but it should be trying to wrap their minds around it.
Like what?
Blockchain. Sending coins from one wallet to another.
Cryptocurrency is a very interesting topic that we'll have an episode on all in itself, because it's hard.
It is.
It is hard. I cannot in good faith nor conscience advocate for someone that is not very tech savvy to go and try and take advantage of the same opportunities I know are there.
Yep.
Especially on decentralized in decentralized apps, because the user interface for crypto is disgusting.
It's disgusting.
It's trash.
Absolutely.
It's trash. Coinbase is probably the easiest engagement platform for you to buy crypto, but Coinbase isn't going to offer you an opportunity to get 15% interest on your investment or anything like 1,000% interest. So it's hard. Crypto is a very still new.
Yeah.
Like, it's been, how long has it been? It's been over a decade now since Bitcoin is been around.
More than a decade.
Yeah. And it's still difficult to interact with the blockchain, as you talked about.
Absolutely. 110%. Some of the user interface is pretty clean. I mean, some people understand how to use it. I'm not going to say it's clean. Some people understand how to use it.
Yeah.
But those of us who take advantage of it now, like, even with the minimal amount of people using things like vaults and farming, you could put a nest egg of savings. And, like, seriously, this is where technology is for cryptocurrency right now. You could put a nest egg of savings in a vault and somebody's decentralized platform, and it build like 250% interest on it, and you're just creating compounded interest every day. You keep that thing in there for a year, whatever nest egg savings you had, just go ahead and 10x it. Just go ahead easily. And that's that's what people are missing out on.
But it's not their fault. It's difficult.
It is difficult. And you're right. It's not their fault.
I've lost money. I've lost over $700.
Yeah.
just trying to. Not that it was stolen from me. It's just I wasn't paying attention when I was trying to send money from one wallet to the next, and you can't get it back once you send it to the wrong address. So it's that technology. I understand you saying people should be into blockchain, but it's still relatively unuser friendly for the non-technical people out there.
This is where, I mean, it's non-technical, and I agree with you, but it depends what level we're talking at this from. You said entrepreneurs, and you're absolutely right. If you are an early mover or shaker in these fields and you learn them right now, you making that new money. What did we used to say in Greensboro? Greensboro had that old money. They had that brick and mortar money.
Those jeans, Wrangler
money, yeah. And so now, if you can get into these spaces right now as they're new, as less people understand them, because, like I said, you're gonna keep getting smacked and hit with new opportunities, new technologies, and things like that, because they're gonna be coming down the pipeline quickly. That's where we are right now in society. But if you get involved in those things now, I mean, you know how much money I made in a month.
Yeah.
In a month.
Yeah.
Absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
Switch tax brackets.
Switch tax brackets. Over 3 months.
Yeah. And so those are the opportunities you have if you're willing to get into something early. The person who uses ChatGPT and Midjourney and something like that today can right now, you could master Midjourney, the Microsoft suites we talked about.
That hasn't been released yet. Microsoft 365 Copilot is on the way later this year.
You can master that, Midjourney.
Yeah.
You can master the NVIDIA platforms that are coming out, which I'm still trying to learn Omniverse right now. You can master there was another suite of things come out. You could look like the productivity genius. You could freelance your services on all those freelance sites, doing whatever people need you to do. You can upcharge your skills. People will never know that you were using an AI. The easiest work you will ever do.
It depends if they're portraits, because all you gotta do is look at somebody's fingers and you pretty much know if it's AI.
You could cut the
not.
Portrait. I mean, you could cut them out.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, you can completely run your entire marketing division single-handedly from the use of just these AI tools.
Doing little work.
But so this is the question. When I was doing motivational speaking back when I was in college, the number one question that I always got was how. And that's the part that people usually leave out. How does one learn these things? How does one get into these new technologies and systems in a way that is not intimidating?
I don't have a good answer for that. I don't. Yeah. I mean, like, there's no good answer. You just have to jump in, watch YouTube videos on how to get the platform or program to work, watch Udemy videos. Like, you just have to dive in, ask questions.
And that's what you did when you first got started? Like, you didn't even know what the singularity was. How did you learn? You just dived in?
I just dived in. I mean, even... like, I take words from books that I don't understand, and I just stop reading the book and go online and look up the word. Like, when I had to teach myself how to do 3D design, I took the time I went through YouTube and went through multiple tutorials. I bought an online class on how to do 3D design so that I could learn how to use Blender. And then I didn't like Blender was okay, but I wanted that realism, so I went to YouTube and trained myself how to use Unreal Engine. Then I ended up working for a 3D modeling company, and they forced me to use 3D Max. Like, I hated that platform, but they forced me to learn it. So, like, it's just about teaching yourself. Like, we have all these resources and tools to learn something for free. You just have to put this time, if you really want to do it, put the time aside and actually learn it. The how, there is no easy how. You just have to, if that's what you want to do.
Just try it.
And honestly, it comes down to your passion too. Like if you're not passionate about something, it's not something you're actually passionate in, then you're probably not going to spend your time doing it. I have interdisciplinary passions that circle around all of technology. So no matter what it is, I'm going to be passionate about it. I took a whole month to teach myself quantum systems and quantum computing. Still don't understand it. I understand it more though than I did before.
Which is something that ChatGPT could teach you.
Yeah,
how to better understand.
But because we're talking about resources and people getting into things and technologies, but there is a stigma and a stain on technologies that I think needs to be addressed. You want to know why people don't get involved and why people don't learn about these new technologies? Let's look at the cell phone. Let's look at the self-driving car. Let's look at the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
There's always this doom and gloom behind all of it. Cell phones are going to make your kids stupid, stop them from using it, stop them from using YouTube, get them offline. They're distracted. They're not doing their schoolwork. Cancer, yeah, things like that. And they said it about the TV too. Your kids, don't let them watch TV all the time. You look at self-driving cars. Oh, they're going to put you in a ditch. They're going to kill kids. COVID vaccine. Oh, 10 years down the line, you're all going to grow a third arm. There's always this doom and gloom with technology. I can't stand it. It drives me absolutely insane.
But it could be warranted sometimes, depending on the person. Like the COVID vaccine stuff, understandable. The technology behind it is miraculous, is amazing. I'm sure, like with most things, people didn't do their due diligence to understand the technology of that vaccine. And even with like smartphones, not understanding that the technology isn't evil.
Yes.
The technology is agnostic to however you decide to use it as the user.
Yeah.
So I can understand some of the fear being warranted. I just want to be like play devil's advocate here. That I can see reservations as to why people would like be like, oh yeah, get your kids off of these platforms, and Tesla and self-driving is gonna take jobs from taxis and truckers and all that. Like I understand where they're coming from.
Luddites, man, they're Luddites.
What is a Luddite?
Someone who is afraid of technology.
Oh.
You'd rather see us go back to the Stone Age because that's how the good old days were.
That's where they're comfortable.
Well, no, I think it's a flaw in humanity. I think when we look at the technology that's grown and developed over the last 200 years, we've created more technologies to do more good in the world than we have to do more ill. If you look at the war technologies that we've created, we have saved more lives with technology than we've eliminated lives. Even when you look at the average human lifespan, it used to be 34. Why? Because our infant mortality rate was so high. And now we've decreased that by a lot because of our healthcare system. So now we have more babies living. So now human longevity has spiked. Now in America, the average lifespan is between 70 and 77, somewhere between men and women, and it's even higher in Asian countries. So our technologies, if you look at all the infants that we saved, that's probably already negating all the lives lost from war. Where all the people
I don't know if you can use the term negating.
Not negating. I'm sorry, not negating. That's an insensitive word, but it's probably made up the deficit of the lives that have been lost. And then you have other things that allow people to live more, technologies that allow people to live more comfortable lives, allow people to thrive, have resources, pull their family out of poverty, create more equality and society. So, I mean, I don't know, this doom and gloom of technology coming out to take our jobs, kill us, create plagues, paranoia by the government. Like we talk about paranoia from the government can't even hold congressional hearings correctly on simple communication technology. And you expect them, blockchain has been around for the last, 2023? Blockchain has been around for the last 14 years, and we still don't have proper legislation on blockchain. It's been 14 years.
Well, so there's an interesting thing in that statement, because Congress doesn't even know what blockchain is.
They have no idea.
The thing that people are trying to regulate is cryptocurrency, and they don't even know that. They don't even know what powers cryptocurrency, the inherent value. Like, crypto is nothing without the blockchain it sits on. So yeah, to your point, they can't give us crypto regulations because they don't understand the technology itself. And a lot of people, I think the fear for a lot of technology comes from the fact that people just don't understand it. It's like black magic. The only reason that black magic was black magic is because it was a magic that you didn't understand. It was something that was going on that you couldn't comprehend. Yeah. So it was casted as evil.
There's going to be a lot of that in the next 20 years. I guarantee the next 10 to 20 years, there's going to be a lot more technology that people do not understand. And they're going to be offshoots from existing technologies and new developments that people didn't even expect to come about. I mean, it's guaranteed. It's honestly guaranteed. And so I feel like we're in a position where you either get on board or you continue to kind of shelter and hide in place and get left behind.
Get on board. How can you get on board to something that you don't even know is happening?
Well, when I say get on board, I mean when it comes out, you don't fight it. You don't push back against it. You say, hey, this is a new tool. Look at it as what they are. These are new tools available to me.
Yeah.
Now, if it's useful to me, let me use it. If it's not useful to me, then I won't need it. Maybe I can recommend it to somebody else, but you don't also have to be you don't also have to market it to anybody. But I'm just saying you should try to be using these tools that are being developed, because our technology, as they advance, provides you with more resources and more opportunities at a lower cost than what you currently have today. And it equals the playing field for everyone. The internet has equaled the playing field for everyone globally. It has given more people to more access to financial institutions, education, communication, productivity means, like just resources in general. And you're going to have more of those wide-scale disruptive technologies in the next 20 years. And I'm not talking about one or two. I'm talking about like 20 of them. So,
well, I think that is that's a great message to end this first episode on. But we'll definitely be doing more of these episodes with more focused topics about certain tech, having conversations on where the technologies come from, where we think they're going, what the benefits could be, and I guess myself offering some pushback as to what the side effects could be for society. So with that, guys, thank you for listening. If you were listening to this podcast, the NERKS podcast, first episode, we are looking forward to continuing to have these conversations and changing up the format and stuff to what feels right. Kendrick, is there anything that you would like to end on?
No, there's nothing I have.
No. Okay. Well, again, thanks guys for tuning into the first episode of the NERKS, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.